I am in the house of Zayn Adams this afternoon on this glorious day in Cape Town, and this is not for commercial consumption but for the archives, and I'm going through all my buddies who I've worked with in the past, and Zayn has always been one of the acts, and I worked with him so many years ago, and I've never forgotten. Zayn Adams.
Hi. Hello.
Sit down.
Hi, thank you very much.
You were born where?
I was born in Cape Town, in Saltera, a little place called Saltera. Today it is fondly known as Drug City, but it's not really true. That's just a little name because of the kind of habits that go on there. I was born the same day that the Roswell thing happened in America.
Right.
You know, and the irony about this is it was on the 7th of the 7th month, 1947. Now, one wonders whether one was born here or whether one was brought here. I've always...
So you're born on the
From
7th,
outside, I suppose, eh?
Yeah.
the 7th month of the 7th day of the 7th month,
1947. Now that makes me kind of ancient in a way, but that's only in a way. But with that birth date comes a whole lot of experience, a whole lot of life that I lived, and meeting and working with people like yourself added more life to me. I would probably be living for a long, long time if I count who brought life to me. Now, I don't know whether this is a problem or if it's a good thing, living that long. But living in Saltera, I come from a Muslim family.
yes.
Our roots are in Indonesia, Malaysia, Java, and places like that. And also, believe it or not, Scotland. My grandmother's name was Khadija Scott. My father's nickname was Scotty. So there's some kind of connection, you know what I'm saying? But my upbringing wasn't strict. It was, if you know what I mean when I say this, it was very South African in the 40s and the 50s. Where we were subhuman beings, in fact. I never knew that. I never knew that we were sort of regarded as that.
You're talking about
Mr.
apartheid.
Yes.
Right.
Separate development.
Separate.
Apartheid. Division. They used to call it. God, some kind of, they had so many names for all these things that they did to us that it sounded technical, but it was so fucking bad every time. Any law that they made was inhuman. It was a problem for me as a lighty who could think to live in this country. And I mean, that's saying something. My father was a very political man. He was I wouldn't say that he had been highly educated academically, but my father had gone to grade 10, which is standard 8 then, and in that time in the 30s, to go that far and being a person of color, you were either going to be a good carpenter or a good bricklayer or a storeman, working under another storeman, but nothing in the academic career echelon would you find one of our people as a manager, as a director, as a CEO, as you know. they used to call very hard-working people in our circles supervisors. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Supervisor. In other words, you control those animals, and we will control you. That is what it was all about in South Africa. It was all the privileged ones who controlled the masses. It was very much like the like everywhere where there's ugliness, there's one person who carries out the order, and there are those people who gives the order. You know? So my life was a life of non-being, as far as the government of the day was concerned, I didn't exist. So for me it was a hard thing to live in this country, to make a living, and to go to their schools and to be educated by them, because they were always indoctrinating us, no matter which way, you know, in the numbers, in the history. They wrote our friggin' history. That dog is dead, you know. He wrote our history. I never knew it until one day I saw him on the airport. I thought, you rubbish. You taught us about Jan van Riebeeck. You told us your story. We know other stories, you know, the where do we come from stories. Your guys created that. You didn't tell me that you and I were family. Never wanted us to know that. Because the same father that made him made a lot of us here, you see. So now you can imagine what kind of life it was, being controlled. Being controlled and you're stupid, it's okay. Being controlled and you can think is a different story, you know. So at the age of 15, my father said to me, get the hell out of Cape Town, South Africa. Which I did. I joined after a big struggle to be recognized in Cape Town as a musician, or a singer for that matter. I eventually landed a job with some of your friends, Davy Bestman, Chico Levy, all of those people of the carnival. But I joined the Stars of Africa, which was controlled by Majid, the late Majid Omar, Bing Crosby. Okay, and funny thing about that show is that it was a wonderfully dressed show. Each one had about 7 or 8 costumes, and we were 30 people together. But the irony of this was that we were financed by undertakers. Oh yes, we were financed by people who bury people. And to me, it didn't matter at that time. Because for me it was, if there's a gap, I'm going to take it. If there's a musical gap here for me, I'm going to take it, which I did, you know. In this case, it was funny. You either take the gap or you die. So if you die, you'll be buried by your boss. No, we had a wonderful time on these shows.
What sort of songs were you singing at the time?
I started out as a dancer in the chorus line, and I had 3 minutes.
This was like a Dixie show.
Yes.
And did you paint your face?
Yes. Oh yes.
Right.
Yes. Oh, of course. There's such a story behind painting your face. When you walk in the street in places like Pretoria, Bloemfontein, the very Afrikaans places, and you walk there as a brown or a black man, you are regarded as a second-class citizen. The moment you put on that makeup, black face with white eyes and a white mouth, which is the minstrel makeup type, you become another person. You are famous, so to speak. The people go mad for you. White men and women, black men and women, colored men, they all go mad for you because you've got this face painted. The moment you take that face off, you are again a non-entity. So I decided, after a lot of years with the Golden City Dixies and a lot of places of touring where I met you, with Mr. Hubert, Mr. Chris Hubert. Remember that wonderful show we had?
And we were touring a country called?
Zimbabwe.
It wasn't then.
It was Rhodesia.
Yes.
Then Rhodesia. We had a wonderful time.
We did.
It's a wonderful place. Anyway, besides that, I decided that the thing to do would be to go without makeup and be as accepted as when you are on stage with makeup. And that was a terribly, it was a huge thing to do. Imagine being something else, you are famous, and trying to be yourself. It was like a dead-end street. And that is what I was fighting for a long, long time. I went to England, I lived in London, I traveled Europe, I had been everywhere to enforce my musical strength everywhere, which I got right to a large degree. I had a few hits. I was with one of the top rock bands this country had ever seen. I was with one of the top touring shows that they've ever seen in the 60s.
But you're talking about the Pacific Express.
I'm talking especially about Pacific Express. I
had name some of the people in
that
band.
yeah. First of all, Pacific Express was a backyard band. They were playing the driveway band, playing the garage band, and even from there we had to clamber and pickaxe our way out of those holes that we played in. You know, it was a really cut period because we knew we had the music, and we were still playing for one kind of people.
Yes.
We could only play for our own people. And what was a problem about that is that you cannot be world famous in Cape Town. You know what I mean? You must get out. And eventually, with Pacific Express, we crashed and brought down a lot of barriers. We changed Radio 5's way of thinking because they had refused to play one of the biggest hits South Africa had ever had, Give a Little Love. They refused to play it initially, and it became a number one. 24, 25 years later, again number one. And they, Radio 5, to compensate for their ugliness that they expressed to us then, they let me have, in 1989, they let me have a song called You Gotta Live, smash hit in this country. I was still in France when I learned that this song had hit the charts left, right and center, and Radio 5 had it, and that was like a killer for me. Radio 5 had put it as one of the best rock tunes ever to have come out from a local guy. Now why the hell do I have to go abroad and then find fame there, and only when I come back do I get the kind of recognition that I was getting abroad in your own country? It just reminded me that keep your feet on the ground. You live here. You know.
Can you name some of the
Flames,
the artists? No, the ones who are playing in the Pacific Express.
Oh,
You've
yes.
got Montplay on drums.
Yeah, we had a guy called Jack Montplay from Durban.
From Durban on drums.
Wonderful drummer, a great drummer. I've been a fan of Pacific Express before I joined them.
Yeah.
Then you had the late Paul Abrams, who was a bass player with lots of other groups before, but him and I think Jack were the founder members of the Pacific Express then. So it was Robbie Jansen. Robbie Jansen is one of the finest reed players in the world as far as I'm concerned. And then he sings like a mother.
Yes.
You know, I mean, that was talent that was buried. You had people like Isi Arifdin, who had other groups before. In fact, a lot of these guys that came together were from other bands. And then we had Chris Shoulder, who is Ibrahim Khalil Shihab, married to my sister, by the way.
Which
Keep it in the
sister?
family. My sister, my younger sister, Rakiba. Rakiba, yes. We were, they were a band without Ibrahim and myself. Issy Arifdin came to me one day and said to me, listen, don't you think that you can change your style a little bit and sing a bit of rock? I said, hey, listen, look, I don't know about rock. I love rock. I love to sing rock. Rock is like, you know, it's got balls, it's got blood. I will be in the group. I'll take up some time, you know, do a little bit of funk here and a couple of ballads, which was my thing. Ballads were my thing. But I took the chance. I was very skeptical about the position I was going to take because it was front man. I had been following Express for 3 or 4 years before then as a fan. When I come from abroad or I come from any tours, I would go to the Brothers nightclub or I would go to the Mermaid and I'd go and see them. And I would always stand there and say, oh, they play good music. No wonder I said it because they were playing Chicago, Blood, Sweat and Tears, 10-wheel drive. That was where we were at. When I was asked to do Pacific Express, I thought, this is my dream. I'm going to be a rock singer, but this is the band I want to do it with. Yeah. And eventually, I joined them with my manager, the then manager, Paddy Lee Thorpe. He was my manager in my solo career, so I brought him with me to deal for me because I found that if you wanted real success, real progress, you have to have an agent, a manager, a PR, somebody who could really see to it that you do your music and they do the business, you know. And when I brought him in to Pacific Express Circle, I had told them that I want to bring this guy into them so they can see who he is and what he's done for me, and he would probably be doing much bigger for us as 5 or 7 guys together. Brought him in and everything happened. Pacific Express is a success story, but we also started, we played in the drains, we played in shitholes, we played where people were running around with pangas in backyards, and you know, and still that time to come into a scene was 50 cents. 50 cents to come into a scene. And then security was unheard of. Guys would walk in with big swords and guns and the whole shit. You know, I mean, we were playing Johannesburg, the Flames and I from Durban, your country. We were playing in Johannesburg at one time and we were singing like a long lonely stream, I can run towards a dream. We were still, and suddenly, pow, 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 the bullets flying in the middle of a damn war, man. And we were ducking behind the bass drum. Oh my God. The guy could still see us.
There's safety behind the bass drum.
Absolutely. We played in Kensington once, just down the road from here. And we were doing a song called Slow Down, New York City. Brian knows the song. People all along the city, work all day, work all day, work all day, work all day. Pacific Express used to, we were doing that song, and the people were going, and it was like in somebody's backyard and driveway, and in comes this dude with this machete, and he says to them, Yalla massa, what have you? Ik maak jullie allemaal en yalla massa, extikula frick. And I'm standing there with the mic in my hand, and the mic standing in my hand, and I thought, oh, my mother would not allow this. This guy started chopping around, no security. He was just, you know, coupling a main road through the whole crowd there. Eventually the gig was over because, I mean, you don't argue with somebody who's on so much drugs, with so much panga, you know what I'm saying? God, this was something else. But we came out of that hole and we achieved pretty good things. I think that Pacific Express was literally, they were physically the pioneers of a lot of bands in Cape Town and Durban, and going seriously for the thing, you know. A lot of attention was put onto Pacific Express. Fortunately, I was the spokesman for them. I spoke for the band, which worked out for me in a wonderful way, because in the end, when they defunct, I had carried that thing from Express through to my solo career.
Right, so you had the experience of being a compere kind of
Oh, I had the experience of being a frontman.
frontman, yes.
But also there were some downers about the frontman. If there's something bad to write about the band, the frontman got it in the face. You know, even if the drummer played cuck that night, you know, the singer is gonna get it
in the neck.
Yeah, he's gonna get it. He's gonna really be moved.
What was your influence to become? You said you were a ballad singer. What made you want to be a ballad singer? What was that?
Man, I liked the
Was
idea.
there Matt Monroe or people like?
Oh, the influences.
Yeah.
The people who influenced me in taking a direction
Yes.
were people like Frankie Vaughan,
Yeah.
the old British boy.
Yes.
Yeah, he sang
Give
songs
me
like
the moonlight.
The Heart of a Man, The Heart of a Man, Sometime Somewhere. Those Sometime Somewhere was one of the first songs that I ever sang in my life. After seeing him at the age of about 13, I saw Frankie Vaughan, and he was a great influence in my life. Then the likes of Cliff Richard, Elvis Presley, Matt Monroe, Gary, what was his name again? The 3-octave guy, John Gary from America. He was, and then besides that, we had people in South Africa, in Cape Town, people like Ziggy Gray, you know, Andre May, Yvonne Kluter, Cyril Valentine. These were people with voices that they had identifiable voices. When they sing, you know it's them. And for me, that was something great, to see and hear somebody do their own thing with their voices. That was a great influence to me. But to answer your question, I was always interested in what the balladeer had to say. It was either a tragic story, or it was a love story, or it was a story of everyday life.